is a great pleasure for me to be here. I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to particularly thank the trustees of the CED who were here, some of them who had a real hand in writing this report. And of course, we couldn't have done it without Elliot Schwartz, who is the secret brain power inside the CED and a masterful colleague when it comes to a report such as this. About a year and a half ago, CED released a report titled Built to Last, Focusing Corporations on Long-Term Performance. That report called on business leaders to reject the pressures of short-termism, in effect, to end corporate practices that focus on short-term financial reports rather than on actions to build long-term value. Unfortunately, not enough business leaders heeded that report's message. If they had, we might not be in the crisis we are in today, with the economy sinking and our financial system in tatters. Immediately following the release of that report, the CED Subcommittee on Corporate Governance set out to expand our thinking about long-term corporate performance and its relationship more broadly to societal performance. The central conclusion of the work that we're releasing today is that although public corporations increasingly are the core of a system unsurpassed in creating jobs and income and wealth, corporate leaders and directors and managers must do better by integrating societal concerns into corporate strategy to strengthen long-term competitiveness, and in so doing, the sustainability of both the corporation and the society in which it operates. In short, corporate leaders cannot ignore their place in the social fabric. As we neared completion of this report last fall, financial markets in the United States and other parts of the world, as you all well know, fell into a crisis that saw in quick succession the collapse of some of the nation's top financial institutions, mass layoff of workers throughout the entire economy, and the bankruptcy or threat of bankruptcy of small and large businesses, even threatening, as we see this morning, the fate of America's biggest three automobile manufacturers. Some people have said that our timing is off for the release of this report, that right now is not an appropriate or opportune time to talk about corporate leadership, that corporate involvement with public goals is a costly diversion of resources from the need to bolster the bottom line, that an open debate about corporate leadership accountability to public goals might appear insincere or even self-serving against the backdrop of a financial crisis and the growing expenditure of public money to support private businesses, and that business leaders should try to stay out of view and fly under the radar of public attention. I strongly disagree with that concept. Now is not the time to rely on the same tired thinking that helped get us into this mess. Now is the time to be thinking about long-term sustainability of the corporation. Now is the time for the business community to think seriously about its interdependent relationship with broader society. And now is the time to reevaluate failed strategies and to think about how we might do things differently. As Presidential Assistant Rahm Emanuel wrote just a few weeks ago, and I quote, "We must not let a crisis go by without using it for a whole new beginning." American corporations have been deeply wounded by events stretching at least as far back to the corporate scandals of Enron and WorldCom and forward to today's economic and financial crisis. The cumulative effect has been an overall erosion of public confidence in business and business leaders. Public anger has boiled over, heated by reports of greed and conflicts of interest and other misdeeds and simple miscalculations. The rebuilding of trust and confidence in corporate America won't be easy, but it's critically important for business leaders to act to buttress support not only for themselves and their companies, but for the free enterprise system itself. As Pete mentioned, I recently had the privilege of being named to President Obama's Economic Recovery Advisory Board. Of course, everyone's focus is set on the economic stimulus bill and the other steps the administration might take to set our economy back on the right course. An unappreciated but integral element of economic recovery is for corporate leaders to take seriously President Obama's call for a new era of responsibility. Businesses that fail to heed the call for responsibility are likely to find themselves at a disadvantage as society increasingly values social engagement and the pursuit of common purpose rather than self-interest. Corporate leaders should be natural leaders in rethinking the short-term incentives and systems that were prime contributors to the steep rise and fall of the U.S. economy. They should focus on programs and politics that add to the sustainability of their business for the long term and that reassure customers and suppliers and employees and others that theirs is a business in which to have confidence. This means acting responsibly, pragmatically, and mindful of broader societal concerns. It means becoming more energy efficient throughout the supply chain by cutting waste and investing in new technologies. It means reducing carbon emissions, preparing for climate change legislation, thinking through other potential regulations, adhering to good labor practices, and respecting fundamental human rights for all people everywhere. It means identifying what works, what doesn't, what will add long-term value to the firm, even if there are short-run costs, and then act accordingly. It means not reverting to short-term solutions that might look good in quarterly financial reports, but fail to enhance the durable value of the firm, its sustainability. Short-term pressures, of course, are real and difficult to evade even in good economic times. Today's economic climate creates pressures for businesses to cut every cost. Anything that does not obviously appear to boost today's share price, that lacks a clear-cut business case, or doesn't just literally fit and enhance the quarter's bottom line, is at risk of being cut. In this environment, some shifting of jobs and cutting of benefits or social programs is obviously inevitable. But the business leaders must lift their sights to gain greater perspective and ultimately more durable performance. To make corporate responsibility and long-term sustainability integral to the company's daily operations and long-term strategic goals requires that not just a change in governance structure or corporate policy, but more fundamentally a change in how executives and boards of directors think about their interdependence with the society around them. At the most basic level, society provides both literally and figuratively a license to operate. It establishes and secures property rights and provides the environment in which business can exist and prosper. In the best cases, an effective and equitable system of justice keeps all parts productively engaged in the pursuit of the common good and protects individual rights. An excellent and equitable education system provides a productive and innovative workforce. Intelligent processes and policies toward land and water and energy and transportation and communication and healthcare and other concerns sustain the environment, improve commerce, and remain a vibrant society. It is without question in each corporation's interest to help the society in which it operates to thrive. Fortunately, there are corporations that have begun to think in these terms and act accordingly. Many large, mostly global corporations are paying greater attention to their long-term interests by striking a better balance between short-term commercial pursuits and such societal concerns as the environment and labor standards and human rights. Many companies have also found ways to turn such concerns as effects of climate change and other environmental damage into profitable commercial opportunities. The existence of myriad and varied approaches by those corporations to societal concerns demonstrates that such practice is not only possible but necessary to achieve their long-term interests and have sustainability. However, too few businesses or political leaders are following these paths, and despite the many surveys that show support for these ideas, talk far outpaces action.